好，那我们今天就是继续 EP 秘密档案。那为什么没有直播？因为我的不知道到底是我的电脑出现，还是我家的网络主机的问题。我的电脑常常会时不时就突然就断开连接，在 FF14里面也是崩溃。那个任务必须做的副本好几次都在临近结算的时候给我断线，然后就一直连不回去。我现在不知道原因到底是出在电脑的接头，还是线的接头，还是台的问题。所以可能在解决这问题之前都是用录播的吧。我发现它这个档案，那我这边还剩1、2、3、4、5、6、7，感觉可能也只剩7张可以玩，共才9张，包含序章。这是第一个是沙漠的那个地区啊，收集树，对，执行会收集消，不要管它的那个地区在，逐渐增加频率生产活动的废弃物。那个密码还是 CP745，其实它原本第一就要产生，有几率产生之二就是不明的那个线状体，然后后来我发现是人体，然后附录就是6天算很久，在这个2月我要吃，然后去吐出老人的垃圾，我还蛮漂亮的。然后这个应该就是它的危险点，在哪里？然后你还可以重新玩，就是像我昨天有一个东西没找到嘛，就但是不需要。档案2。我感觉这很恐怖，一样嘛，就是红色底线的按。附录2012 4月21，目标是一个高23公分、28公分的不规则陶罐，但千万别被这玩意儿的外表给骗。它是有机物，有机物、无机物的定义就是有生命的，通常无机物就是没有。那陶土正常来讲就是无机物，它是有机物，而且是个子宫，没错，一个陶土子。本收容物可被安全收容到标准保险箱中，开口应被惰性博斯配有机玻璃片遮盖，并且用固定防破坏贴条封上。测试包括人体实验。实验报告 660A。样本条件612尸体左腿上取下的皮肤，接近者在死亡前身体状况良好。样本使用样本组织样本在 SCP-660 里放置了2个月，结果每天组织显示样本存活提取出的细胞样本在试管内培养后显现出癌变倾向。好 660B 样本 D612 尸体组在皮肤上是什么？那不都是它吗？好，样本使用组织样本在 SCP-660 放置2个月，然后移植到遭受2级或3级烧伤的人员躯干上。接受者的异常测试记录并不触犯 接受者的异常测试记录并不触犯 SCP-660 的结果，移植并未产生发症，且愈合过程正常，年复血清抑制和血管再生。然而，和一般严重烧伤 相似，遭到破坏的皮肤无法抵抗感染，最终造成致命的感染性休克。好多低家属的种活体实验鼠透过 SCP 的使用，D614的意识被转移到样本内，他们把人的意识转移到老鼠里面呢。D614因其对长期隔离和感知缺乏的适应性，样本在 SCP-660 里放置了2个月。不寻常的是 ，SCP 无法将 D614的意识转移回原身体。一种电脑交互界面被研发用来与 D614 进行双向沟通。在 D614 熟悉操作后，便进行了以下为节选片段。布朗博士，我猜我只能相信说的话了。在那里感觉 D614 令人窒息和疲累。布朗博士，再说详细一点。D614，那你认为会是什么？就连老鼠也需要生长，需要移动，需要生活。我的每个部位都承受着巨大的压力，但我被困住了。我甚至以为我爆炸了。完整的采访内容属于验尸报告指出，老鼠身体具有癌变倾向。实验报告 660D， 样本条件因外伤性截肢而失去的左手肘下小。样本使用 D778在 SCP 事故中受到重伤，在事后清理时回收了其小臂，因为严重的血管损伤，其不可能接受再植手术，小臂被放入 SCP-660活性，结果右臂成功接回原游泳者。D778称右手五指均具有感知能力，即使基金会根据其严重组织撕裂和神经损伤程度预测情况并不乐观。活组织检查并未显露癌变倾向，移植显示出暂定的成功。D778因今后的观察而被保留。附录 SCP-660的人类测试被暂停，因为 D778突然死于恶性移植所产生的畸胎瘤。我曾见过胎内胎，但我从未在尸案例中看到过。由 Grayson 博士所说。2012七月30日，截至今 SCP-660之一教化。SCP-660本身也并未再展现出其形状，它已被基金会评为 Safe 级。对于它的研究将转移至生物研究，拥有660分之4权限的人员可访问详细资料。为什么660分？居然没得去操作吗？好吧。哇，我要念到坏掉了哦。附录143之一，目前收容区内种植的植株是1905年从位于日本奈良县的母树下的幼苗。母树当时为某传统刀匠家族所有，他们声称该树种是传承至名为天国阿玛库尼阿玛库尼的译名传说铸剑师，并称呼原始的陵园为刃木之森，刃木的灵力。阿达奇， kodachi。Jinki no kodachi 哦，对啊，Jinki 是这个 no kodachi。基金会之所以能将该项目素材与花瓣切割并加工成可用物品，也是基于该家族的。哦，反正就是这一个树很硬，要浇水。哦，好，就是一个类似贩卖机东西，然后它会丢东西。一堆一堆有的没有的食物。哦，上网课啦。
There are many stories in this world. Some are read widely all over the world. Some are hidden in dust and known only by a handful of people. Today I'm going to tell you a story no one else has heard before. A real story of mystery and wonder and adventure. And then you too will become the guardian of this story. The story takes place in a world of long ago. The hero of our story is a little boy. His name is Daniel. One day, out of nowhere, Daniel got a serious case of chickenpox. It made him look like a strawberry. To make sure he didn't spread it to others, Mrs. Page, the principal, had him isolate in an attic. And so, in the attic he lived, all on his own.
Mr. Daniel, while up here in this attic, you'll have plenty of time to practice your penny whistle. I hope you practice practice well and prepare for next month's art festival.
But Mrs. Page, the melody is so difficult.
Don't give up, boy. You don't give up before you fight.
Daniel was reluctant at first, but he trusted Mrs. Page, and he knew he should listen. And so he practiced the penny whistle.
大会。哦。
Suddenly, he heard some strange noises in the corner of the attic.
Huh? Who's there?
Daniel decided to go over and take a look.
Oh! 这画风好好玩哦。觉得音乐好可爱哦。我
It was a mousetrap, and there was a red origami paper dragon inside of it. Daniel carefully removed it. It was marvelous and beautiful. The only problem was part of its wing was damaged, but Daniel found a way to repair it. Daniel held the repaired paper dragon high up in the air, imagining that it soared over all the world below.
或者是龙之母，好像听过。
He played and played with the paper dragon.
Wee! Woo! Dragon! Soar!
In the warm afternoon sun, Daniel had to fight his eyelids just to keep them open.
Could it be? Or is this all just a dream?
The next day, with boredom and loneliness weighing him down, he began to fiddle with the old radio.
Our town is located in the plains where earthquakes are not particularly common. Although there are 17 fault zones around us, they are all inactive.
直接出断层带，你要吓死谁啊？
A scrunched up ball of paper rolled over to his feet.
Where did this paper ball come from?
Just as Daniel went to pick it up, the ball suddenly came to life, and it rolled away. Daniel chased after it. Just as he was about to seize the rolling paper ball, suddenly, terrible sparks erupted from it. Before his very eyes, the paper ball began to grow bigger and bigger. At that moment, a red figure suddenly appeared. The red figure quickly subdued the paper ball and threw it into a cardboard box. Daniel studied the red figure carefully. It had a sticker on its fluttering wing. It was the paper dragon.
I wasn't dreaming. Thank you for saving me.
Daniel was grateful and very happy. He walked closer to the paper dragon, but the paper dragon seemed timid and afraid and backed away. Just then, Daniel had an idea. He took out his penny whistle and slowly played a tune. The paper dragon enjoyed the sound very much. It began to move along with the rhythm, flipping up and down in the air. Soon the two were playing and dancing, just like old friends. The paper dragon traced out a beautiful arc in the air, communicating with Daniel in a unique way.
My cherished friend, after many long years, we finally meet again. Tell me, how has your family been? A great thank you for playing that music for me. You know how I love the beautiful rhythm of that instrument. But we ought to take precautions, as the room is not stable. Do you still remember how the room works? You're welcome to visit anytime.
The piece of paper then changed back into the shape of a paper dragon and flew into the cardboard box. The box closed shut, and a calm silence was restored to the attic. Daniel rushed to find a watercolor pen and marked the box with excitement in his fingertips. Over the next few days, the paper dragon came out often to play with Daniel. During this time, Daniel introduced many of his friends to the paper dragon.
认错人了吧？
That cat's name is Mrs. Carter. Ever since I secretly fed her some fish for dinner, we've been good friends. That's Duke, Mrs. Jessica's pet. He doesn't like Rainy Day or Mrs. Carter. Only smoked sausages for his taste. And now, we are friends too. My name is Daniel. What's your name?
The paper dragon flapped its wings as if it didn't understand him.
Well, since you like the sound of the penny whistle so much, why don't I just call you Penny? I'll I'll keep practicing to make it sound better.
Daniel and Penny then played baseball together in the attic.
Let's play cat.
But just as they were in the middle of enjoying themselves, a violent shaking suddenly rose from the ground.
The stubborn earthquake is back at it, folks, and it seems even stronger than last time.
At this moment, the box suddenly shot open, and thick clouds of smoke billowed out, followed by several paper balls. Penny attacked the paper balls without a moment's hesitation and promptly threw them back into the box. Penny then flew around in front of Daniel and rushed right back into the box. As the box closed, the earthquake stopped. Facing a friend's farewell without a formal goodbye, Daniel felt confused and lost. He moved the box to the center of the attic. Facing it, he practiced his penny whistle day in and day out. As the days went by, Daniel's playing became smoother. One day, the box suddenly began to move. One, two, three, four. This time there were 4 paper dragons. But they weren't alone. Enemies began to jump out of the box too.
Earthquake! Another earthquake! This time it's reached a magnitude of 5.8!
In that small attic, the 4 paper dragons fought fiercely against the paper balls. This time, the paper balls used new tactics. They clumped together into a single monstrous ball of paper. It began to shoot strong bursts of electric sparks at the paper dragons as they flew through the air. As they were hit, the paper dragons fell from the air, one after the other. Seeing the injured paper dragons, Daniel felt very distressed and anxious. Just then, one of the paper dragons painfully started to fall and gathered the remainder of its power. The paper dragon transformed into a great beam of light and dove straight down to pierce through the monstrous paper ball. And then came another paper dragon. The monstrous paper ball was blasted to bits, exploding into smaller paper balls. Trembling, they struggled to escape back into the box. The sacrificed paper dragons were reduced to swirling shreds of paper, and a silence pervaded. Peace and tranquility were restored once again to the attic. Daniel saw the remaining 2 paper dragons lying on the floor, badly wounded. He rushed to grab some stickers and treated them at once. Suddenly, countless paper dragons began to gush from the box. the two wounded paper dragons were repaired and began to fly. Like two colored threads, they merged with the other dragons, flying in unison. The dragons moved like a tide, flying freely through the attic. Daniel eagerly took out his penny whistle. He showed all his paper dragon friends the results of his hard work and practice.
耶，这是没有 miss。
In the sweet melody of his playing, Daniel felt himself enter into the world of dragons.
那被抓走了。哦。
The paper dragons merged into a long letter and floated down towards Daniel to tell their story.
After the last war, the fantasy world enjoyed a long spell of peace and stability. But now, the giants have returned. They have launched ferocious attacks, trying to invade your world through the room. We are prepared to launch the final defense. Then we will have to destroy your room, for it is the last remaining entryway into your world. Please believe this farewell will only be temporary. We will not be apart forever, and we will never forget our eternal mission of protecting you.
At that moment, the paper dragons flew back into the box. Daniel still couldn't fully understand what the paper dragons had meant, but he had a vague feeling in his heart that he may never see his new friends again. A few days later, Daniel's chickenpox had fully recovered. He could now play the penny whistle very, very well. But the paper dragons never returned. Maybe it was time to leave and move on.
Earthquake warning! Magnitude 6.2! A massive earthquake is hitting our town! All town
Just then, countless paper dragons shot from the cardboard box. However, it seemed like they were under attack, spinning and falling through the air in confusion.
What's happening?
Daniel quickly grabbed the stickers out from its bag and did his best to heal the injured paper dragons. Balls swarmed together and pushed Daniel away, subduing him firmly in the corner. He couldn't move. Suddenly, ominous clouds rose from the box, and a violent lightning flashed through the room. The figure of a giant slowly emerged from the thick clouds, and the entire attic became overwhelmed with its evil aura. The giant unleashed its power maniacally. The paper dragons struggled against it, with no means of fighting back. At this critical moment, two paper dragons shined brilliantly. Together, they heroically crashed their bodies into the giant. Daniel thought the giant had been defeated by the paper dragons, but soon he found that things would probably not be so simple. The giant's figure could still be seen in the thick smoke, looking evil and terrible. The attacks of the paper dragons had had no effect, and the giant had only grown stronger. It fought back with a new ferocity. The paper dragons were simply no match for it.
The earthquake is going stronger still! The greatest disaster this town has seen in over 100 years! My heavens! Will this nightmare ever end?
With the paper dragons now all but defeated, Daniel spotted a frail figure in the distance. It was Penny. It flew gently in front of Daniel and affectionately rubbed its head against his fingers, as if this whole crisis had never happened. Daniel felt like Penny was trying to tell him something, but he didn't quite understand what. Penny then left Daniel and soared into the air with a determination in its wings. Suddenly, the other paper dragons seemed to be summoned. They flew through the air, all together in unison, responding to the call without an ounce of hesitation. At that moment, Penny turned into a great red beam and rushed fast towards the giant. The other dragons followed, shining together like a shooting star. At that moment, Daniel seemed to see a real dragon flying.
No!
A huge explosion from the impact drowned out everything else in the attic. The attic rained down with countless pieces of paper, the leftover scraps of the paper dragons. Daniel wanted to collect all of the pieces. He thought he could still fix them.
my friend.
The nightmare is over. The earthquake has stopped. With God's mercy, our town is safe. We thank you, Lord, for your protection.
A few days later, the art festival was held as scheduled. Daniel attended the show with his penny whistle.
And now, Daniel Trevor will perform a penny whistle solo of a song titled Fly With Me.
大师。
And that's how the story ends. Now, you might be wondering, what happened next? Are there still paper dragons in the world? Well, that's a difficult question to answer. But I believe that they are still protecting us somewhere in this world, just like they promised they would, forever, into eternity.
今天就上完了。哦哦，这个人要嗨，要嗨，绝对要嗨。他可能进来之前就已经有问题。我觉得他讲那个是，都是龙之梦。好，那这边大概应该 第2章的剧情。第3章的话，就是点下去这个黄色的卷就会到第3章。但是为了上传方便，第2章就先到这边吧。